The mood around Celtic right now feels heavy, but also strangely charged, as if everything is happening at once and nobody quite knows which direction it will tilt next. With another big match on the horizon, there is that familiar sense that every conversation, every rumor, and every decision suddenly carries extra weight. This is one of those moments in a season where the noise around the club almost rivals what happens on the pitch, and you can feel supporters trying to process multiple storylines at the same time while still focusing on what matters most, which is the football itself. A lot of the recent attention has centered on what has been said publicly by the manager over the past couple of days, especially in relation to the transfer window and the current shape of the squad. The message coming from inside the club has been fairly consistent, with an emphasis on satisfaction with the group that is already in place and a clear desire to move forward without constantly revisiting what did or did not happen before the deadline. There has been an attempt to strike a calm and measured tone, even though everyone knows that the end of a transfer window always leaves unanswered questions and lingering debates among the support. One of the more talked about points has been the situation surrounding Joel Nvuka, not in terms of medical specifics, but more about his character and what he could bring into the dressing room. There is a sense that he has arrived with the right attitude, someone who seems genuinely pleased to be at the club and eager to prove himself. That kind of personality can matter just as much as pure ability, especially during a demanding run of fixtures where squad spirit and togetherness can make a real difference. Celtic have often benefited from players who buy into the culture quickly, and there is hope that this will be another example of that. At the same time, there has been acknowledgement that not every potential deal comes off, even when it looks close. The revelation that an agreement was in place for another winger, only for the player to decide to stay where he was, highlights how unpredictable transfers can be. It is frustrating from a supporter's perspective, particularly when you consider the stature of Celtic and the expectations that come with it, but it also serves as a reminder that players will always make choices based on their own careers. In this case, the club moved on and brought in an alternative, which is often all you can do in such circumstances. Another key storyline involves Ari Engels and the interest that came from elsewhere before the window closed. What stands out here is that decisions were made at board level without it becoming a prolonged saga played out in public. Just as important is the fact that Engels himself appears to have taken it in stride, remaining focused and motivated rather than letting disappointment affect his performances. That is encouraging because Celtic have already seen how situations like this can go the other way, with players struggling to recapture form after a move fails to materialize. Looking ahead, there is already speculation about what the summer might bring, and whether interest could be renewed if circumstances align. That kind of talk is inevitable, especially when clubs from stronger leagues come calling, but for now the priority is clear. Celtic need Engels performing at his best in the present, not worrying about what might happen months down the line. If he can do that, it benefits everyone, regardless of what the future holds. One name that continues to generate discussion is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And this is not just idle gossip. There have been direct conversations, and it is clear that he is a player who is admired for both his experience and his quality. His career speaks for itself, from breaking through at Southampton to reaching the peak of his powers at Arsenal and Liverpool, as well as representing England on numerous occasions. Even now, without a club, he remains a footballer who could add something different to a midfield that sometimes feels like it needs a spark. Of course, there are understandable concerns, particularly around injuries and fitness, given his history over the past decade. That cannot be ignored. But there is also the argument that a player of his caliber, if managed properly, could still make a meaningful impact. The fact that he has been training at a high level shows his commitment to staying ready, and his openness about wanting to be closer to home adds an interesting layer to the conversation. While Scotland is not England, it is certainly closer than where he has been, and that may count for something if the opportunity feels right. Beyond individual players, there is a much bigger issue brewing between sections of the support and the board, and this is where emotions really start to run high. The idea of reconciliation has been mentioned, but actions speak louder than words, and many supporters feel that their concerns have been ignored for too long. Meetings have taken place, discussions have been had, and it appears that decisive steps are about to be taken, including calls for boycotts and demonstrations. Whether you agree with these measures or not, it is impossible to deny the level of frustration that is built up. This situation is deeply divisive, even among fans who share the same love for the club. On one hand, there is a powerful feeling of helplessness, a belief that drastic action is the only way to force change and to be heard. On the other hand, there is the reality of a team fighting on multiple fronts, needing support during a tense title race and important cup competitions. Balancing those two instincts is incredibly difficult, and it leaves many supporters torn between principle and passion. What complicates matters further is the timing. Results elsewhere can quickly shift the mood, for better or worse, and football supporters are nothing if not emotional. A single defeat or victory can color how everything else is perceived, even issues that run far deeper than 90 minutes on the pitch. That does not make the concerns any less valid, but it does influence how people react in the moment, especially when the margins in the league table remain tight. As for the immediate footballing focus, attention turns to the upcoming match and the shape of the squad heading into it. Training sessions have suggested that options are returning, with several players back involved and new faces getting up to speed. There is a sense that some may feature from the bench rather than start, easing them into action rather than throwing them straight in. That cautious approach feels sensible, particularly given the intensity of the schedule and the importance of maintaining balance within the team. Predicted lineups will always spark debate, but there seems to be a general expectation of stability at the back and a midfield built around energy and control. Out wide, decisions may depend on fitness and fatigue, with at least one player having been withdrawn recently due to exhaustion rather than injury. Managing those workloads will be crucial, especially as Celtic look to maintain momentum and consistency. Ultimately, this period feels like a crossroads, not just for the season, but for the relationship between the club and its supporters. There is anger, hope, anxiety, and determination all mixed together, and how it plays out will depend on choices made both on and off the pitch. For now, the focus remains on the next game, the next performance, and the belief that, despite everything swirling around, the team can still find a way to push forward and keep their ambitions alive. As match day approaches, the atmosphere tightens again, and the conversation naturally drifts back to what will actually happen on the pitch, because no matter how loud the noise off it becomes, results still shape everything. Celtic know that trips like this are never straightforward, especially against opponents who see games against them as an opportunity to make a statement. There is always an edge, a sense that nothing will be handed over freely, and that mentality has to be matched from the first whistle. The wider league context only adds to that pressure. With the gap at the top still narrow, every fixture feels loaded with consequence. Dropping points now does not just hurt in isolation. It shifts momentum and belief across the title race. Celtic are fully aware that others are waiting for any slip, and that reality tends to sharpen focus, even if it also raises anxiety among supporters watching from afar. These are the moments when composure becomes just as important as intensity. Recent results elsewhere have only reinforced that feeling. Seeing rivals stumble creates an opening, but it also increases expectation, and expectation can be a heavy thing to carry. Celtic have been here before, knowing that an opportunity exists, but only if they are ruthless enough to take it. There is little room for hesitation, particularly away from home, where control can be harder to establish and small moments often decide the outcome. From a squad perspective, there is cautious optimism. Training footage and reports suggest a group that is close to full strength, with competition for places beginning to look healthier than it did earlier in the campaign. That does not mean every problem has vanished, but it does give the manager more flexibility in how he approaches the game. Having options on the bench who can change the tempo or offer something different late on can be vital, especially if the match becomes tight or scrappy. Newer arrivals remain under close scrutiny, as supporters look for early signs of what they might offer. There is always a balance to strike between patience and expectation, particularly at a club like Celtic where the demand for immediate impact is relentless. Integrating players gradually can sometimes be the smarter move, allowing them to adapt to the pace and physicality of Scottish football rather than being thrown straight into the deep end. Even a short cameo can tell you a lot about how someone might fit into the system. In midfield, the emphasis is likely to be on control and energy. This is an area where games like this can be won or lost, especially if the contest turns into a battle for second balls and territory. Celtic need players who can dictate rhythm when possible, but also dig in when possession is contested. Striking that balance has been a recurring theme this season, and it will be tested again here. Out wide, the conversation often centers on pace, directness, and decision-making. Fatigue has already played a role for some players, and managing that intelligently is crucial. Scottish football does not offer much sympathy when legs are heavy, and opponents will happily target any perceived weakness. Rotating when necessary, or being ready to make early changes, could be key to maintaining threat across the 90 minutes. Up front, the expectation remains that chances will come, but taking them is another matter entirely. Celtic have created opportunities consistently, yet there have been spells where finishing has not matched build-up play. In a match where margins are fine, that efficiency becomes decisive. A single moment of quality or a single lapse can swing the entire narrative, which is why focus inside both boxes is constantly emphasized. All of this unfolds against the backdrop of ongoing tension between the support and the hierarchy. That tension does not disappear just because a match is being played, and players are not immune to the atmosphere surrounding the club. Even so, footballers often talk about blocking out external noise and concentrating on their jobs, and there is a sense that this group understands the importance of doing exactly that right now. Winning games has a way of easing pressure, even if it does not resolve deeper issues. Supporter sentiment remains complex. There is frustration, anger, and disappointment, but also a deep desire to see the team succeed despite everything. Many fans feel caught between wanting to make a stand and wanting to back the players who pull on the shirt each week. That internal conflict is real, and it speaks to how emotionally invested people are in the club. Celtic is not just a team, it is part of identity for many, which is why these moments feel so intense. The coming fixtures, both domestically and in Europe, add another layer of urgency. Balancing competitions requires depth and smart rotation, and it also demands mental resilience. Switching focus from league battles to European nights and back again is never easy, particularly when confidence fluctuates. Celtic have shown flashes of resilience already this season, but consistency remains the ultimate test. There is also an awareness that history judges seasons harshly. Near misses and what-ifs fade quickly, replaced by the simple reality of trophies won or lost. That is why the current title race looms so large in the minds of supporters. Winning it under these circumstances would carry extra significance, not just because of the football, but because of everything surrounding it. That possibility fuels hope, even when frustration threatens to overwhelm it. As kickoff draws closer, attention inevitably narrows. Predictions are made, lineups debated, and nerves start to build. In many ways, that is the beauty and the agony of following Celtic. Every game feels like it matters, every decision is dissected, and every result sparks another wave of emotion. Right now, the club sits in the middle of a storm of its own making, but also within touching distance of success. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Chaos is brewing at Celtic as whispers of internal strife spill out from the club's corridors. Manager Martin O'Neill has allegedly launched a scathing attack on his own medical department, claiming they are sabotaging the team ahead of a crucial clash with Utrecht. The remarks, which have sent shockwaves through Scottish football, suggest tensions within the club may be reaching breaking point. Sources close to the squad hint at mounting frustration from O'Neill, who reportedly believes key players are being held back by unnecessary injury protocols and overly cautious treatment plans. One insider, speaking on condition of anonymity, said, "There's a real sense that the manager feels undermined. He's fuming because he reckons the medical team is stopping the lads from being fully fit when it matters most." While Celtic fans are used to the occasional spat behind the scenes, this revelation could mark a new low in relations between the dugout and the backroom staff. Speculation is rife that O'Neill, never one to mince words, might demand immediate changes or even a shakeup in the department if his accusations are ignored. A few voices in the media are already pondering whether this could signal the start of a summer-long saga. with high-stakes politics threatening to overshadow the pitch. The timing of the outburst only adds fuel to the fire. The team faces a pivotal test against Utrecht, and any disruption behind the scenes could have far-reaching consequences. Supporters have taken to social media, some siding with the fiery manager, others expressing concern over what they see as a brewing civil war within the club. "If the lads aren't on the same page, it could be a nightmare," tweeted one fan. "O'Neill's passion is legendary, but this is next-level drama." Rumors are also circulating that player morale has been affected, with whispers that some key squad members are quietly questioning the handling of injuries and recovery routines. Should these tensions escalate, the narrative around Celtic could shift dramatically, turning what was supposed to be a confident march toward European contention into a story of internal turmoil. Whether the accusations are a tactical ploy to galvanize the squad or a genuine reflection of dysfunction, the Scottish football world will be watching closely. One thing is certain: someone will pay for this, whether it's the medical department, the manager, or perhaps the players themselves. Until then, all eyes remain fixed on the pitch, while the drama unfolds behind closed doors at Celtic Park. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.